He's more than an athlete. He's an artist.
I think you're in love, Ron.
Shut up.
Victor, I love you. Victor, I do.
When we're apart, my heart beats only.
Harry Potter!
Hey, my eyes aren't glistening with the ghost of my past.
I'm not an owl.
Technically, it's a ferret.
Ah, c'est magnifique.
Kill the stag.
I'm on a Marty Crouch!
Behaving like a babbling, bumbling band of baboons.
Junior.
Hello. How's it going, everybody? Just want to hop in real quick here before the episode begins to mention that I had a wonderful time recording with Evie and Peter, but just for a little bit of it, we had some connection issues, especially during the first half of the episode. So it does nothing to diminish the quality of the audio or anything like that. Where it shows itself really is that sometimes there was a lag between us. And that meant that like every once in a while, one of us might talk over the other, or I might have to ask Evie what she said again a few times. And so hopefully that's not too annoying. I tried to edit and clean it up a bit, but yeah, just wanted to let you know that ahead of time. And then later in the episode, I did lose a bit of what they said, but you'll hear me chime back in to say what that was. Anyway, enjoy the episode. Bye. Hello, everybody. And thank you for listening to Retold, the podcast where I retell you my favorite story of all time, Harry Potter. And this week, we will be talking about chapters 21 and 22 of The Goblet of Fire. But I never take this journey alone. I always have with me some very special guests. And with me this week, I have Peter and Evie. Hi, guys.
Hello. How's it going?
It's fantastic. And I am feeling like so self-conscious right now. I can't ever remember Evie or Evelyn.
It is Evie.
Evie,
Evelyn.
okay.
Avatar on Hogwarts Legacy, but then
I knew one of them was. Very good. Well, so glad to have you guys back. Listeners, you may remember them. They were on for our Prisoner of Azkaban coverage. Had a wonderful time talking with them before. You might know them also as Wizarding House Common Rooms, which is their social media. Evie, could you tell us a little bit about your page real quick?
Yeah, I just started it because I really was enjoying Hogwarts Legacy. It kind of, reawakened the magic for us, and we started, magifying our house, and that kind of led to just sharing more and more, and it's kind of halted, it feels like right now, just because we're moving and getting into this new house, but hopefully we'll be coming out with more, DIY kind of stuff. So to share with
Yeah, it's a really cool page, listeners. I hope you check it out. I always liked my favorite ones are like the RV stuff that you guys have posted. And now that you've moved, are you getting rid of the RV? Is that done for?
No.
No. So the RV currently is in Atlanta, and I'm going to be flying in about a week to Atlanta to actually bring it locally here. So we're going to do a lot more adventuring now that we're down here, of course.
Now that you're on the mainland.
Yeah. We moved from Alaska to Idaho, just for the listeners.
The land of potatoes.
I
could just go get it. I can just go get it. I'm like 30 minutes from Atlanta, so don't even worry. I'll keep it warm for you.
And you already know how to drive a bus, so that's good too.
That's true. And I've only had issues driving a bus 90% of the time. So 10% of the time, it works every time. But we are happy to have you guys back on. So thank you so much for joining us again. So it's funny. I messaged Evie before this episode today, and I was like, the question I typically ask my returning guests is, if you were to teach a class at Hogwarts, what class would you teach? And I see you have the herbology shirt on right now. And I was like, maybe it'd be that one. And then I said, but one thing I'm doing for this book is I'm asking people what school they would like to go to if they were in the wizarding world. And that was only somewhat of a lie because I have not asked that question yet, but I also haven't had like a returning guest from that's only been on one time before. So this is the first time I'm asking the question, listeners, but it's still a valid question. So Peter, Evie, if you guys were in the wizarding world, what school would you want to attend?
You go first.
I mean, I think it's cliche, but I would absolutely like to go to Hogwarts for sure.
Heck yeah, Team Hoggy.
Exactly. Some of the other schools, like the American school, not really into the French thing. And Durmstrang it's kind of like where we just came from, just cold and dark. So I'm not into that either.
Yeah, I asked Peter, why did y'all move? And he
Egypt,
goes, because we were tired of being cold and in the dark all the time.
There you go. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. I am very intrigued by Ivermorny, which is the American school. But yeah, I think why would I ever go anywhere but Hogwarts? I don't know.
Yeah, I think, you got some people that are super passionate about Bobaton or Durmstrang or something like, but I think 90% of the fandom just go, Hogwarts is my home. So
Yeah.
I'll be interested to see if there's any returning guest this season that chooses a school that isn't Hogwarts. I know, I think probably at the moment, my wife and I, the two places we want to vacation to and journey to the most in the world, one is Scotland. I want to go to Scotland so freaking bad. And the other one is Japan. And so I know they have a school in Japan. I'm trying to remember that it's like Mohodoro I can't remember the name. It's going to sound awful, but they have a school over there. So maybe I'd, exchange student, pen pals or something, hit that up. But that wraps up that part of it. So now what we're going to do here, listeners, is we're going to move on to our Quizzitch section. And so this is the part of the episode where I will ask my guests 2 questions and they ask me 2 questions. We have 2 guests on this time. And so do you each have 2 or do you just have 1 each?
I did write down a bunch this morning.
Fantastic. This is good.
We have enough.
Great. So let's do 4 each and or I guess like you guys do 4 total and I'll do 4 and we'll go back and forth and then we'll tally up the score and see who takes the lead after this. This is a little bit of I say anomaly. It's starting to happen every once in a while now. I'm recording a little out of order. The last week's episode has not been done yet. So listeners, Future Barry will come back in to say the score right here. Hello. Currently, dear listeners, the world is leading by 2.5 points. So that's the current score. and listeners, if you're new again, this is a little competition I do with my guests to see who knows more about Harry Potter, me or the world. Me representing myself, my guests representing the world. So you guys have a big responsibility. The world is on your shoulders. Let's go. You guys ask me your first question.
Okay. All right, I'll go first. Which classmate was very good at drawing and hung impressive banners of Harry and a few embarrassing ones of Cedric after the first task?
That would be Dean Thomas.
You got it.
Awesome.
Yay! All right. So your question, and since you guys are married, all right, you get to do it together. All right, you get to you are one. All right, as the Bible says, you're one flesh. All right, so you get to
2 against 1.
All right, your question, but because you are teamed up, I'm going to ask you harder questions.
Right.
All right. What does Dobby say that Dumbledore said he could call him?
A bodgy old codger, if he likes, sir. Oh no, a balmy. Wait, what is it? Oh, foo. A balmy old codger. That's what it is.
It's a balmy
old codger, if he likes.
That is correct. So
Okay.
you got it right. I think it's technically it's like bar me, like there's an R. Or maybe it's silent. I don't know if you pronounce. There's an R in there though, but you got it right. Congratulations, 1-1. Let's keep it going. What's your next question? I do love that part of the chapter so much. By the way, just when Dobby said, or Dumbledore said Dobby could call him this, but Dobby doesn't want to. Love it. What's your next question?
All right. So the next one is, what did Harry set next to his bed the night of the first task?
It was It was the little dragon. The the miniature Hungarian horntail. He's just a little fella. Oh,
Doesn't that sound so fun to have?
I love that so much. And whenever I watched the movies for the first time, whenever they picked those up, I wanted one. Probably if I could have like a magical item in the wizarding world, that would be it. I want my tiny little mini dragon.
Yeah,
just
that like
walking around.
breathes fire
Breathes a little
and burns you a little bit.
All right, your next question.
Okay.
So it's funny, as I was taking notes for this chapter, in the first chapter, I was like, or these chapters, in the first one, I thought, wow, they have kept this password the whole time. They haven't changed it. But then in the next chapter, they do. What? So we had, Balderdash was the first password. What was the password right after that for the Gryffindor common room?
Fairy lights.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Fairy lights?
Fairy lights is correct. Ding, 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 ding. Good
That's
job.
cheating.
Oh my goodness.
I know.
I'm
Maybe we
getting,
should have.
getting nervous. Oh no.
No, but you're the one who's getting them all for sure. That's
All
incredible.
right. What's your next question?
All right, I really want to ask this one. Okay. What key ingredient did Harry forget to add? Oh, okay. Can I do the next chapter? We're doing
Yeah.
both chapters at once.
Yeah, we're
okay.
doing both of them right here.
Okay. So what key ingredient did Harry forget to add to his potions test?
He forgot to add a bazoar.
Wow. Isn't that funny? There's so many times that Snape is like drilling it into Harry that
Mhm.
a bazoar is really important, okay?
Yeah, and I'll say this here because I didn't
Harry
like.
doesn't
I was.
care until sorry.
I'll say this here because I was struggling to like find how to naturally put it into the flow of my notes later. But when that happens and he forgets the bazoar during his test, I was like, what a dumb test, because it just said like he has to create this whole cure. But what we learned later in one of the later books is that the bazoar could do it all by itself. And I was like, he forgot either it's like a super easy test and Harry's just dumb, or it was a dumb test that included a bunch of not like
It was probably
unimportant ingredients.
a trick
It's pro-
question, and
Yeah,
everyone was getting it except Harry. And
poor guy. And
'cause
I
he-
remember thinking like when he did that, I was like, what a great start to wanting to go ask out this girl. It's like, just
Mhm.
failed my test. Let's go.
You got
it can't get any worse.
Can't get any worse.
But I do want to say, okay, maybe this is like, maybe I should save it for the restricted section.
Yes, you should.
Okay,
Ooh.
I'll save it for restricted.
Okay. Your next question would be, all right, this one I wrote down and I thought, I'm certain they will know this one. So it's going to be really funny if you don't. What did, so Hogwarts gets all decked out for Christmas this year, as it usually does. And the suits of armor sing carols. What is the carol that one of the suits of armor is reportedly singing?
Oh, poop.
No, this is the one I was certain you'd get.
I know. I remember how
Is that God rest you, merry gentlemen?
no,
No.
Sirius sings God
Oh,
bless
that
you,
merry
merry hippogriffs.
That's right.
So Peeves is in the suit of armor and he's throwing out some expletives between the songs. So what is it? Halls?
No.
Which is what you do with any Christmas carol, obviously.
Right, exactly.
That would liven up the church service, the Christmas pageant.
No.
Well, we should know this, but
We don't.
obviously we don't. Jingle
That's all right.
way.
No, it's not cheating.
Deck the halls. Deck the halls.
Is that your
Yep.
final answer?
I'm gonna say deck the halls.
Unfortunately, that is incorrect. The
Oh.
correct answer was, "O come, all ye faithful."
Oh.
That's right.
What a
so-
Christian song to sing.
I know. I'm always
yours.
surprised by some of these like explicit Christian references in these books. You know, it doesn't get like much more explicit than that. You know.
Oh yeah.
All right. I think so. Have we each done 3 questions? I believe.
Yeah, I think we have.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
So
we
your
missed-
last question then.
Let's do this one.
Sure.
Okay.
This one was funny though.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that one.
If you know what, if you super want to ask one, you can ask the audience Quizzitch question for this week as well. You can save it for that.
Well, yeah. Let's do this one.
Okay.
Okay. So, how much was Dobby paid for working at Hogwarts?
He was paid 1 galleon a week.
Nice.
Yep.
Is that correct? Yes. Fantastic.
I'm
Dumbledore
sure
tried to pay him, I think it was like 10 a month or something like that. And he goes, but Dobby talked him down.
He beat him down.
And one day off a month.
That's
That's
right.
so
That's
funny.
right.
But Dumbledore offered him weekends off. It was so
but
nice.
Dobby
He's-
loves freedom, but he loves working more, he says.
Oh.
Crazy.
That is when you know you are in, like, you are being fulfilled by, like, you're doing what you're
Mhm.
made to do.
True.
It's so hard to find
Yeah.
That thing.
that thing.
Yeah.
So
Why would I
Mhm.
want to take time off? All right. Your next question. So let's see. You asked me a money one. I'll ask you a money one.
Uh-oh.
How much were Fred and George selling the canary creams for?
Oh, canary creams. Something a piece.
I'll give you the coin. It's a certain amount of sickles. How many sickles?
Oh shoot.
7?
Sure. 7 sickles a piece.
Is that your final answer?
He always says that when we're wrong.
Oh, yeah.
No, I'm just messing with you. It's the correct answer. You were supposed to be like, yeah, and I was going to be like, that's correct. You know, and it would have been funny, but it's okay. 7's correct answer.
Okay, yay.
Yay, okay.
Yay. All right, so very good. We went 3 to 4, not bad. And technically, the world probably still has its lead over me, I'm sure. We'll see what happens. Again, like I said, recorded these episodes out of order. Without further ado, I forgot to ask, before we get into our coverage, we need to ask the audience their Quizzitch question. So last week, your question was, I don't remember because I haven't done that episode yet, but Future Barry will come back right here and say what the question was. Hello. Last week, your Quizzitch question was, how far is the Hungarian horntail able to shoot its flames? And if you said the answer to that question was 40 feet, well, then you'd be correct. If you got that right, congratulations. If you got it wrong, better luck next time. Next time being right now. Evie, what is their question for this week?
Okay. How do you get into the kitchens?
How do you get into the kitchens at Hogwarts Castle? So if you know the answer to that, write into theretoldpodcast@gmail.com or message me on Instagram at theretoldpodcast. And that wraps up our Quizzitch portion. So now let's get into our coverage. Listeners, if you're new here, how this typically works is I will recap with my guest hosts in hopefully a fun and entertaining way what happens in the chapter. And then at the end of each chapter coverage, we will highlight our favorite lines. We'll talk about cool behind the scenes and lore tids and bits in the golden snitch section. And we will also talk about movie changes, things that the movies change from the book in our transfiguration section. Do it all again for the next chapter. And then at the very end of the episode, we have our restricted section where, we kind of avoid spoilers on this podcast. Sometimes we don't do the best job of it, but we try to avoid them and we save it all for that like juicy restricted section there at the end. So here we go. Chapter 21. Are you both ready?
Yeah.
Yes, we are.
Fantastic. And listeners, the thing I always say is if my guests cut me off, they are not being rude. They're doing what I asked them to by chiming in. So there we go. All right. The House Elf Liberation Front. We are so back. Harry has crushed the first task and he's back with his good buddy Ron. All right. On his side again. Ron's hyping him up the whole way to the Owlry. And I like that Harry's thought is, I know he's only doing this to like make it up to me, but who cares? You keep hyping me up, Ron. Thank you so much. All right. We get a nice moment where Ron shows off better seeker skills than Harry because he got a little pigwidgeon flying around Harry and Harry can't grab him.
About that.
Yeah. And Ron's just like, don't even worry about it. Doesn't even like catches the mosquito kind of thing. Gets pigwidgeon out of the air, ties the letter to him. It says that the letter was a little bit longer, a little bit bigger than the normal package that Pigwidgeon has to carry. So he's struggling carrying it. But I thought it was funny that it was longer because it said that Harry wrote all the details of how he like circled, dodged, and all this. And my note was Harry had to write about how he dodged, dip, duck, dive, and dodge the dragon. So dodgeball reference if you get that, anybody. Ron Sass's, what did I say? Ron Sass's then Ron sasses Hermione. I'm trying to remember what he said there. Something about I have it right here. Ron sasses Hermione. Oh, because she goes, Harry's got a long way to go before he finishes this tournament, which was right after Harry. He goes, Harry's going to win this. And then Ron goes, right, little ray of sunshine, aren't you? You and Professor Trelawney should get together sometime. So Ron's
Really
back in
good,
full form.
really good, dig at Hermione because she hates
Yeah.
Trelawney.
Yeah.
You two would get along just fine. All right. You both
He's
want
like,
ill for Harry, it seems. But then he goes to the window and he yeets Pigwidgeon out of it, says goodbye. And then it's party time. Fred and George have nicked plenty of good eats and some butterbeer too from the kitchens, and they're living it up in the common room when Lee Jordan says, hey, Harry, how about we bust that egg open, see what the clue is? And Harry says, you know what? I love the way you think, Lee. Except the way Lee thinks is awful, because when Harry opens up that egg, the whole room is filled with a loud, screechy wailing that, like, it reminds Harry of the Death Day party, which I was like, hey, Death Day shout out, because it's a little forgotten part of the books, but I love that moment. So Harry shuts it back up, and I found Seamus and Neville's guessing of what it could be fascinating, because Seamus says it could be a banshee, and Neville says that it could be, where is it? Neville says it could be somebody being tortured. And it's like, I thought that was interesting because if you remember, Seamus's boggart was a banshee, and Neville, we're starting to learn that the Cruciatus curse may play a larger part of his backstory. So interesting that's what, when they hear the most awful noise in the world, that's what their minds jump to.
Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah. Fred says, no, Neville, the Cruciatus curse is illegal. And I just thought, Moody. So we get a moment where Hermione, ever so slyly, gets some pretty important info out of Fred, and she goes, how'd you get into them kitchens, And how is that? Well, I can't tell you, listeners. That's part of a Quizzitch question that you'll have to write into.
Sorry, I just had a realization. I think we are in the middle of the book here. What would be the middle? But there's always a little Easter egg or like hint to how the end of the story's going to go. And I just thought of something here. So let's go back for
I'm so curious now.
I know
what it could be. Listeners, you got to stick around for the restricted section now. What'd you say?
It might not be as exciting as I think it is.
No. It's going to be amazing, and everybody's holding their breath now. Yeah, even in my copy, it's like, I think 364 and 365, and the final page is like 730. So smack dab in the middle of the daggum thing. So we'll keep it rocking, though. There's a funny Neville incident where, Hermione thinks about eating a little little candy thing. And I think Fred offers it to her, and she goes, you didn't mess with that, did you? And Fred's like, no, don't worry, it's all good. And then Neville ends up eating it, and he turns into a giant canary, and he's like, oh, my bad, Neville. It was the canary, or it was the creams. In fact, they're canary creams. And how much do they sell for?
7 sickles apiece.
7 sickles apiece.
I love how Fred and George, they're advertising their products in the most amazing way, right? Like just by getting people to try them and people observe it. It's pretty crazy. Incredible
marketing. And Neville helps them out a lot with their marketing by laughing it off. It's one of the things I've seen a lot with Neville, and especially we saw it a lot in book 3 when he would get made fun of. There are moments where he goes, you know what, that is silly, and he laughs along with them. It shows good, I guess, self-image and self-confidence. That's how I view it, because I always think it's good to be able to laugh at yourself. So good job, Neville. And so they party till 1 a.m, and then Harry and all his boys decide it's night time. So they head upstairs.
I really want to go to a Gryffindor party.
They last so long.
It always sounds so fun. And
I say that, but these days I like going to bed early. I'm like, this party's still going, but you know what, guys, this was great. I hope you enjoy the rest of the party. Honestly, I'm going home. Maybe it's my lazy Hufflepuff side coming out.
No, you're just a new dad. That's what it is.
That's right. That's right. So they party till 1 in the morning. Like I said, they go upstairs to go night-night. And now we've reached the winter months. Durmstrang's ship is going crazy because I love this little moment where Harry looks out and he sees the wind is just like buffeting that ship so bad. And it made me think of that meme of all of those people in the speedboat, hitting the waves. And then slowly they all just fall over. I was like, what's going on that ship?
And
having a good time.
Scotland doesn't sound very fun this time of year.
No, it's very
I
much.
know. At least the Durmstrang people came like suited up with their furs. So.
What's amazing to me is like how many things they've solved with magic, right, in the magical world, and how many things they just haven't yet. So you kind of think like, okay, they could, seal up the castle better so that you wouldn't get this drafty thing going through the castle, or maybe the Durmstrang ship, it would just feel completely smooth inside, right? But those things like they haven't like solved those things yet.
Well, there are spells that affect the weather, so like couldn't they make it not so windy?
I don't know.
It's an interesting conversation to be had of like, what's better, magic or electricity? And like the whimsical fun part of me goes, of course it's magic. But I look around at some of the issues they have at Hogwarts and I think maybe eclectricity, as our good buddy Mr. Weasley would say, might have some benefits to it over magic. I take it back, listeners. I didn't mean it. Anyway, we get treated to a crazy care of magical creatures class. I wrote down LOL, the pillowed boxes, because he's like, we're going to lay him down for a little kip. And like these giant blood-sucking, fire-breathing monsters. And he goes, they just need a little nap. All right. They're all tuckered out. It's like, so one thing I've always been told about is how babies will be one of the many reasons that they cry is that they're tired. And I'm getting to experience that firsthand now. And the part of my brain just says, if you're tired, go to bed. And I'm like, please go to bed. But maybe that's just the Scrooge. They're angry because they're tired and they just need nappies. So that's all that's
going
on.
Yeah.
Well, Hagrid didn't.
What'd you say?
It was a huge experiment for Hagrid. He was like, let's see if they're ready to hibernate. We don't know, but let's see. He didn't. No.
Yeah.
So it doesn't go well. Malfoy and the cowards, I mean Slytherins, I'm just kidding, listeners, are hiding in the cabin. All right.
Not just the Slytherins. There were only like 6 of them left outside.
Yeah, but they were all Gryffindors.
Yeah.
Harry and Ron are just about to be killed by the final Screw when Hagrid comes flying in from the top rope. All right. Swanton bomb onto the little Screw. That's a WWE reference if you get that, listeners. All of a sudden, a wild Rita appears, and Rita, as wicked as she is, knows how to find a story because she starts to ask Hagrid about the blast-ended scroots, or what does she call them? The bang-ended scoots.
Which is pretty accurate, though, because their ends bang and then they scoot. So
I feel like there's like a song to be made out of that because there's like the song Boot, Scoot, and Boogie. You could do, there's a connection there. I don't know what it is, listeners.
Yeah, I do it.
Yes. But
you guys can, put an AI song to it.
Okay, you have a month until this episode airs. So you could be like, and here's the song that we did.
That's right. Future Barry coming right back in. No, he won't, because I'm lazy and I don't want to do that. Sorry, listeners. Hey, Patreon, when we get there finally one day, maybe that could be a bonus feature.
Yes.
So Rita, she's looking around. She sees out all the craziness going, and Harry's like, oh no, this can't be good. And she sees the wreckage of the class. I think like Dean has a cut on his cheek. People's clothes are burned. It's not a good look for Hagrid. And I had this weird thought. When Hagrid and Rita make plans to meet up, Harry thinks, oh no, I don't know how to warn Hagrid without Rita seeing. And my weird thought was, why does he care if Rita sees? Because in the previous chapter, he basically just like told her off, when he said, I have a word for you, goodbye, or something like whatever it was. And it's like, I thought the ship had sailed on caring about what she thought. So that was interesting that Harry goes, I just don't want her to see. But Anyway, so class ends and they head back up to the castle for double divination. Along the way, Hermione says Hagrid should be fine unless he got those scroots illegally, which another way of writing that sentence is Hagrid should be fine unless he did something that he is really prone and likely to do. So who knows? 50-50. They head up to divination, and as usual, Trelawney's predicting Harry's death and all that stuff. They head to dinner, but y'all, they don't see Hermione. So they go to the next likely place, the library, and wouldn't you know it, she's not there either. They are about to walk into the common room when finally she comes running up, and she's all just like in a tizzy, telling Harry, come check out this super wonderful thing. So off they go. And I had 2 notes. Poor fat lady. All right. When they leave, she goes, oh, it's okay. You can just leave me hanging open. I'll be all right. Thanks for waking me up.
And that's one of my favorite lines there, where Ron is like, yeah, thanks. Stay open.
Appreciate it.
When we come back. Thanks.
Yeah. And then the other one was, so this is Dumbberry at work, because my note was, why has the password not changed? That was my other note. And then in the literal next chapter, it changes. So disregard it, listeners. All right. That shows you need patience. But Hermione leads them back down the stairs and further into the depths of the castle, all excited like. And I like imagining the moment that Harry figures out where she's leading them. It says they get to that hallway that's lined with all those like portraits of food. The way it kind of goes down to me and the way like Jim Dale kind of narrates it or voice acts it is like, wait a minute, Hermione, what do you, this isn't what I think it is. And she's like, no, it's nothing. It's like the vibe that it gave off. But Ron catches on too and says, we ain't joining no spew, or whatever else you want to call it. But she says she isn't trying to convince them to join. She just wants to show Harry this really cool thing she's talking about. So she leads them into the entrance. The magic for the door, pretty cool. All right, I won't explain how you open it, because again, listeners, that's our Quizzitch question. But I thought it was fascinating that when you do the thing, the pear turns from a painting into a handle. Like it like pops out of the thing.
Yeah.
I don't remember that part of it.
I didn't remember that either.
Yeah, that's pretty nifty magic.
Yeah.
So pear pops right back out. But they head on into the kitchens, and before Harry can really appreciate the epicness that is the Hogwarts kitchens, because it is pretty epic and cool, he is like truck stick, just bam, little tiny Dobby comes running into him and gives him a big old hug. And it's a super cute moment. He's all dressed funny like, and he has he's just really hyped to see Harry. And Harry's like, bro, what are you doing here? Dobby's like, bro, I work here. And it's a nice little reunion moment. He's like, me and Winky, like she's here too. And Harry said, what? Winky's here too. And Dobby leads the way over to see her. And unfortunately, she's looking rough. Harry notes that while her clothes match better than Dobby's, like it's like she has better style, she's not taking good care of her clothes. She's got like tea stains and stuff all down her dress or whatever it was she was wearing. And when Harry tries to talk to her, she just sobs, which is sad. But I do love that, and it's a little reoccurring thing throughout this interchange. Anytime she starts to sob uncontrollably, Dobby just pretends she's not there. He's just like, so anyway, y'all want some tea? Like he looks at her just bursting into tears. He goes, thirsty? That's good service.
He has no empathy for what she's going through. He doesn't miss his owners.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, I was just thinking about that, and that there might be something, right? Because for house elves, like I think even for Dobby, and then even for Winky too, which is going through, it's like an identity lost, right?
Mm-hmm.
That kind of gets into that whole thing.
Oh yeah,
where like that was your worth, that was your whole identity, is working for a family. And like Dobby was, he saw something beyond that, hope at something different. But Winky obviously isn't at that place yet. but I don't think Dobby's healed enough where he can actually help Winky. He's kind of like suppressing that, so he wants to move on from it. And I don't know, there might be something there, I might not.
No, yeah, that's a really good point too. It's like if quote unquote, but like Dobby's still in recovery, you know, and he's further along the way, but he has not reached the step of the program where he can help others and be a big brother. So he's working on it himself.
Yep.
So they get some great service, as I mentioned. You know, Ron's like, yeah, I want some tea, and all the house elves, like a whole bunch of them, come running up, give him some tea, and when he compliments them, you know, Hermione's a little upset, but they're just tickled pink by it. Harry and Dobby catch up for a bit, and we learn that Dumbledore is an amazing boss. You know, he took both Dobby and Winky in, and he even pays Dobby a whole galleon a week, and he gets 1 day off a month. And if Dobby wants, what is he allowed to call him?
A balmy old codger.
A balmy old codger. But Dobby doesn't want to, people. He respects his boss. When Hermione asks Winky how much she gets paid, it opens up a whole can of worms, because she starts to sob again and lectures everyone about being a good house elf. And it's really funny. It made me think of another meme. One of the ones I've seen a few times is like when you say a like offensive joke to the wrong person, and now you're sitting there getting lectured about like all these types of things for an hour, and it's like, oh, I didn't mean it. It's just a joke. But that's what the vibe gave off to me when she starts lecturing them, everybody, about being a good house elf. Then we get this interesting moment where Hermione mentions that Crouch and Bagman are coming to Hogwarts for the tournament. And, you know, she's encouraged that Crouch is coming, but when she hears about Bagman, she goes, Bagman? That guy sucks. All right, I hate Bagman, and Bagman is a bad wizard. Bad wizard. She does cry again, though. And like I said, Dobby just turns away from them, and he goes, so I'm getting a sweater next. And just like that abrupt shit, like, ignore that. Getting a sweater. And Ron says, you know what, Dobby? I think this Christmas you can have the sweater my mommy makes me. Hope you don't mind maroon. And that's all sweet. But the house elves load him up with sweets afterwards, and after Harry tells Dobby that he's allowed to visit him, they leave, and that's the end of the chapter. Yay! Woo! So
That was a good
now,
synopsis.
yeah, I love it. Good chapters. And so, common theme with this chapter and next chapter, I have a lot of favorite lines. There's a whole lot of good stuff in here, but listeners, what we do now is we highlight our favorite lines here in this section. So let's bounce back and forth. Do you guys have a few?
I mean, well, like the last line here. Okay, so Hermione says, Percy, don't let Percy hear you saying that. Yeah, well, Percy wouldn't want to work for anyone with a sense of humor, would he? Said Ron, now starting in on the chocolate eclair. Percy wouldn't recognize a joke if it danced naked in front of him. I can't even get it out. I'm reading Tommy's tea cozy.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
He's just so funny, Ron. Man.
Yeah,
I think all my favorites are things Ron says.
yeah, he's killing it in like it started last book, some of his better lines, but even in this one more so, especially now that he's back on Harry's side, we're getting a lot of good quips from him.
Yes.
One of my favorite ones, it was nearly 1 a.m. when Harry finally went up to the dormitory with Ron and the rest of them. Before he pulled the curtains out of his 4-poster shut, he set his tiny model of the Hungarian horntail on the table next to his bed, where it yawned, curled up, and closed its eyes. Really, Harry thought as he pulled the hangings of his 4-poster closed, Hagrid had a point. They were all right. Really, dragons. Oh, he could go to the Isle of Berk and have a fun time.
There you go.
He was terrified of facing the dragon.
Well, there's something different, you know, between a massive dragon and a little tiny dragon.
Yeah.
So there's that.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Do you have another favorite line?
It was the fat lady one. Don't apologize for bothering me. I'll just hang here wide open until you get back. Shall I? Yeah, thanks. Ron shouted over his shoulder.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
That's funny. Let's see. Another one of mine is Ron's again, more Ron moments when he insults Trelawney.
Mhm.
You know, and because she goes, I arose, I settled myself before it, talking about the the crystal ball, and I gazed into its crystalline depths. And what do you think I saw gazing back at me? An ugly old bat in outsized specs, Ron muttered under his breath. And Harry fought hard to keep his face straight. Oh, it's funny. Good stuff. Mean, but funny.
Yeah.
And then real quick at the bottom of that page, at least in my copy, a follow-up one, Ron says, "At least we didn't get homework. I hope Hermione got loads off Professor Vector. I love not working when she is." So you're right. He's got a lot of good lines in this chapter.
Yeah.
Very
Oh,
good.
man.
And then, so just to rattle off a few more of my favorite lines, when Hermione asks Winky what Dumbledore's paying her, it says, "If she had thought this would cheer Winky up, she was wildly mistaken." And that's when the lecture and all that happens afterwards. But I love that phrasing. It just sounds like something awful is about to happen. And then the whole barmy old codger line, I enjoyed that a lot. But my last one was, "I think this is the best thing that could have happened to those house elves, said Hermione, leading the way back to the marble staircase. "Dobby coming to work here, I mean. The other elves will see how happy he is being free, and slowly it'll dawn on them that they want that too." "Let's hope they don't look too closely at Winky," said Harry. So I just enjoyed, I don't know if that's as good of a point as you think it is, Hermione, because they got two examples, not just one of a free elf, and one of them's not so big on it. But that's all my favorite lines. So now moving on to our transfigurations, and these are differences that the movies made from the books, listeners. And so I have more for next chapter, but just just to highlight a few for this one. Like I said, this chapter is mostly omissions. Like in the movie, they don't include the whole kitchens thing, the house elf stuff. A lot of this is not in there. And I've said this before, but the only class that they ever attend in the movie is one Defense Against the Dark Arts class. That's it. But
Wow.
two changes from the book that the movie makes. One is that in the scene where Harry's given his egg after the first task, it is Seamus who hands him the egg and asks him to open it up and find out what the clue is. But in the book, it's Lee Jordan who does that. And then the other change is that when what did I write?
Oh, I have a change about the egg too that I noticed is that it's completely empty.
Oh yeah. It's
Yeah.
like there's nothing inside there, but you get that. That's a good change. Sometimes I get so many people on here that hate the movies. I like highlighting some of the good changes, and that's one of them.
Yeah. That is a good
It's
change.
really beautiful design too, in that crystalline and then the glowy stuff in there.
Yeah, it looks like it's a bubble that you could
Yeah.
pop like water.
The other change is that when Harry and Ron make up in the book, they made up last chapter, but in the movie they make up at the party that takes place in this chapter. Ron comes up to them after he's like, "What the heck was that racket?" Because he hears the same noise that everybody else does from the egg, and that's when they be friends again. So those are the changes from the chapters. And that's it for our transfigurations. Real quick now, moving on to our golden snitches. So these are little lore, tids and bits, behind the scenes things, stuff that the casual fan or might not know about. And so the first one is, and we've sometimes they're not as significant or they're explained already pretty thoroughly in the book, but canary creams. Canary creams were one of the magical joke products that Fred and George Weasley invented for their shop, Weasley's Wizard Wheezes. They cost 7 sickles. To be exact, created in 1994. They had the appearance and taste of ordinary custard creams, but when eaten, they transfigured the eater into a large canary. Within a minute, the person would molt their feathers and revert to their normal human form. Now, some behind the scenes on it, though, from the wiki. In Harry Potter Magic Awakened, R.I.P., I wanted to play that game so bad, and I was so sad when they canceled it after a year. But in Harry Potter Magic Awakened, the canary cream from the Weasley's Wizard Wheezes store transforms the consumer into a large-eyed red canary, whereas the one from Zonko's Joke Shop changes them into a small, black-eyed yellow canary. The game also shows that the cream turns the consumer into a normal-sized canary, unlike in the Goblet of Fire book, where Neville was turned into a large one. So that's all we got for that one. The other one is we have the zoological column in the Prophet. So when Rita Skeeter appears in this chapter and is talking to Hagrid. She says she wants to have an interview with him, and she mentions, yeah, we could talk about the Scroots and stuff because there's a zoological column, all this stuff in the Prophet each week. And I looked it up, and if you could believe it, all the information about it is every Wednesday, the Daily Prophet featured a Magizoology column. That's it. That's all it said whenever I Googled it. But then, listeners, I'm not one to leave you hanging. I want you to have a little bit more info. So I Googled Magizoology because we haven't heard that term before. Magizoology was zoology was the study of magical creatures, wizards, and witches in this field. Was the study of magical creatures, witches, and wizards in this field were referred to as magizoologists. The most famous was Newt Scamander, author of Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. And there were subcategories in this field, such as dragonologists and other specialists. And this class was taught at Castle Bruxo in Brazil. So that's fun. There's a whole bunch of other stuff, but I'll probably save that for a different episode. So that's all we got for this particular Golden Snitch section. Are y'all ready to move on to the next chapter?
Yes, let's do it.
Let's do it. Chapter 22, The Unexpected Task. Harry and Ron are goofing off in Transfiguration class, having a little sword fight with fake heads or fake wands that are really fake animals. That was almost one of my questions for you, is could you have named what one of their wands turned into?
I would have missed that.
That's all right. That was like, I think one of them was a copper or a tin bird, some type of bird. And then the other one, Harry's, was a fish, but it was called a haddock. And I looked at my wife and I go, "What's a haddock?" She had to Google it. It's a fish. It's a fish, listeners. There you go. So anyway, and it's just really funny timing because when McGonagall calls them out, the beak of Ron's like metal bird slices off the head of Harry's haddock and it just like falls to the ground. So I enjoyed that. But McGonagall says, "All right, y'all, we got a dance coming up, the Yule Ball, and this needs to go perfectly."
This is actually something that I keep like trying to keep track of, is the tongue twisters that J.K. Rowling comes up with. Like, so that's one that I actually have, even though I didn't know what it was. I had it underlined. Head of Harry's haddock.
She always does these.
The head of Harry's haddock. The head of Harry's.
And then there was one at the beginning of this book with Barty, something with Barty Crouch.
Probably something Bagman
I'll try to
said.
find it. You keep going, and if I find it, I'll chime in somewhere.
Yeah. So yeah, the head of Harry's haddock falls to the ground heavily. McGonagall says, "All right, y'all, we got dance coming up. It's the Yule Ball, and this needs to go perfectly. I won't have any of you sullying the Gryffindor name. Anyway, go have fun." And it's funny when she calls Harry up to class afterwards, and he's like, "She's going to be upset about the haddock. I know it. But she's not, Harry. Don't worry." And their dialogue to me in this moment, I really enjoyed it. Like just, it seems so like comedy movie. So she says, "Potter, the champions and their partners." "What partners?" said Harry. She like looks at him. "What are you talking? Are you messing with me? Your partners for the Yule Ball, Potter. Your dance partners." "Dance partners? I don't dance." "Oh, yes, you do. That's what I'm telling you." And he just says, "I'm not dancing." And she goes, "It is traditional. You are a Hogwarts champion and you will do what is expected of you as a representative of the school." So I just love that, especially the part of like, "I don't dance." "Yes, you do. You do now. I hope you learn quickly."
I also felt bad because Harry didn't sign up for this.
And this
And
was probably
he's
the
made
worst.
to,
Yeah, it's like the worst than the challenges, right?
Yeah, he said it was worse than.
Yeah, he was like, "I'd rather have the dragon now." So
Oh, poor
we're-
Harry. 14.
I
That's
know.
pretty young.
yeah, I wasn't sure where to put this into the episode, so I guess I'll just say it right here. In this chapter, there are a whole lot of like epic fails when it comes to people asking other people to the dance. And one of the things I messaged Evie about before the episode was like, I want to mention a story, like stories of perhaps maybe when we were kids or something, we had to ask somebody to prom or something. And man, like I loved promposals as a kid. And like I was recently on another podcast, the menu script, and I told a few of these stories where like I just really enjoyed coming up with something epic to do. Like there was a girl named Lily, and I bought her like a giant fake lily the size of me. Or I ran a marathon and held up the little poster that said, I ran 26.2 for you, prom ? But this one wasn't necessarily a prom one, but it is by far the worst I've ever struck out with a girl. And so like I relate to Ron later in this chapter, but I remember one time I saw this girl at my gym and I thought, she's pretty. I want to go talk to her. So I go up and I'm in college at this point, but I go up and talk to her, and I'm just like, she was wearing a track and field shirt to the college that I went to. And I was like, that's my in. All right, I'll mention that and be like, you go to that school too? Perfect. So I mentioned the school and we kind of chit chat for a little bit. We have a mutual friend. And I go, oh, you know this person? And I could see, all right, this is a good trail of conversation. And I think, what else do I know about this person? What else do I know about this mutual friend? And dumb, like 18-year-old Barry said the first thing that came to his mind about what he remembered about this person, which was, oh yeah, her dad just died. And this girl looks at me and she goes, oh. And I was like, oh, like in Barry's 18-year-old brain, he goes, oh shoot, you made pretty girl sad, make pretty girl happy. And I was like, what else could you think of? And then I was like, but she did just get married though. So, you know, like the Lord gives, Lord takes away. And she goes, I guess. And I went, you have a good workout. I just walked away. So that was a pretty bad one for me, but I don't know. Did you guys have any instances of asking somebody to a dance or out or something that perhaps didn't go as planned? Future Barry here. Unfortunately, this is the part of the episode that I warned you guys about at the beginning. This is where Evie's and Peter's audio came in very, the connection just wasn't good, and it came in very garbled and staticky. And so we didn't get to hear their funny stories that they shared. And it's unfortunate because they were pretty funny. Peter shares something about how growing up, he was in this really awkward friend group that had weird dating rules. And Evie talks about this guy who is not the nicest to her. But you will unfortunately not get to hear those stories. But if you want to hit them up, maybe follow their Instagram or something, they might be able to share them with you personally. I don't know. That might be weird though. But we will pick back up just in a second, where I will be telling one more story and then Evie shares another one of hers. I'll be quick, listeners, but I just enjoy this one. When I asked a girl to prom, I was actually just going to ask her to be my Valentine. And I showed up with a rose, one of the many roses that my dad had bought for my mother that morning. I took it from the vase and I was like, got it. I show up at my school, listeners. They did not have locks on the lockers. And I had a little buddy. I had my own little, what's the Colin Creevy? I had my own little Colin Creevy type of friend at my school who would follow me around and be like little buddy. And he goes, hey, Barry, did you hear what like Matthew did? Did you hear what Matthew did? I said, no, what did Matthew do? And he goes, you got to come see this. He takes me to her locker. We open up the locker and there's a crystal vase of roses in there with a prom ? On it. And he looks at me and he says, Barry, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? And I look at him. I said, what do you think I'm going to do? I'm going to ask her first. And so I went outside and met her on the sidewalk before she ever got to her locker. And right now my listeners are thinking I'm a terrible person. If it helps, she said she wanted to go with me instead anyway. So.
Oh
yeah, that's good.
Wow.
But I always remember that of him just going, what are you going to do? What do you think I'm going to do?
Almost fast.
Oh, that's a good story.
That's awesome.
I do have one more story. Sorry.
Go for it.
So the closest thing we got to a prom or a dance was like parties that people threw themselves, you know? So Peter's family was really amazing at throwing parties, and Peter's younger sister threw a gala
like a spring
gala.
Yeah.
Ooh.
It was really fun. So nobody really asked to go with anybody, but at the gala we had dance cards, like old-fashioned dance cards where you had people fill them out and then you would meet up and do the next dance with the next person on your card. And so Peter danced with me one time, and then he like we were just getting to know each other at that point, and then he I think you filled out like 2 more dances.
Oh yeah, I did.
And so I only danced with like 6 people.
Right.
Or yeah, anyway. And you got the most dances that
Peter
night.
was just every other name. It was
Yeah.
like, Peter.
I'll say
Yeah, it was fun. And
this
I
guy
think
seems
that
to have
night was the night
intentions.
I was actually like, do I like this guy? I think I like this guy. And he like while I was leaving, he ran out and he was like, "Good night." And we were like,
Oh,
no,
Yeah.
we're leaving and nobody else was out there. And
Yeah.
good night. I'm like, oh, good night. Farewell. Anyway, that
Did
was
Peter
kind
know
of
how to?
the start
Did
of
Peter
our
know how to cut a rug?
Yeah.
Well, it was funny
Oh.
because I thought she didn't know how to swing dance, but apparently she did.
I let him pretend to teach me.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Well, I had my own moment of trying to show him how to work an iPod, because that was the thing back then, was iPods. We're that old.
Yeah.
But he knew
I
how to
remember. I was there in the dark days.
Okay.
Well,
Before
listeners, I hope you enjoyed our fun dance stories. I didn't know where to put that in the pod, so
Yeah.
back to the
That's-
podcast.
Yeah. Oh, I found my
Anyway.
line. My
Oh yeah,
line.
go for it.
Line. So it's in Bagmond and Crouch, chapter 7. So, been keeping busy, Barty, said Bagman breezily.
Been keeping
That-
busy, said Bard Bagman breezily.
I
Isn't
love
that awesome? I'll say it one more time. So, been keeping busy, Barty, said Bagman breezily.
That might be what inspired the line from the 4th movie of babbling, bumbling band of baboons, babbling, bumbling band of baboons, babbling, bumbling
There
band of
you go.
baboons. Like of them like saying it, like say that 5 times fast.
Yes, you did it really good. I can never
Thank
do
you. Thank you. That might be why they do it, you know.
Yeah.
but I'm gonna start looking for that now. Listeners, eyes
Yeah.
peeled in the books for that sweet alliteration.
Yes.
Moving on though, back to the show. So it's dance season now, and Harry is flustered by the amount of girls at Hogwarts. And the girls are even starting to ask him to the dance. And my note was, "Go Hufflepuffs," because the first girl that gets the gall to ask him is this 3rd-year Hufflepuff. Goes on up, although she shut down rather quickly. It says like Harry said no before he even knew what he was doing. And I thought this was interesting. So, one, Ron says to Harry, like, "You're famous. Like, you're the Triwizard champion. People are going to be queuing up to go with you." And Harry thinks, like, he doesn't like the idea of people only wanting to go with him because he's famous. Except for when it gets to Cho, he goes, "But would I be upset if that was a good enough reason for her to want to go with me?" And he's like, "I don't think it would be." So I appreciate there's these moments where Harry gets like pretty self-reflective. And I appreciate the honesty that he has in that one. So there was another note that I had. Let me see if I can find what I was talking about before we continue real quick. Oh, so it's another thing I thought was odd was that in Harry's inner monologue, it mentions how Cho was a year older than he was, and she was very pretty, and she was a good Quidditch player, and she was also very popular. And he thinks because of this, he doesn't have that good of a shot with her. And I was like, "Brother, you're the most famous person at this school. What are you talking about?" You know, because she's so popular. I don't know if she's going to want to go with me. And it's like, so are you. What do you mean? Like, I don't think that's a reason to be hesitant, Harry. But he's 14. We'll allow him the lapse in judgment. So we get, Scroot Watch. 1994 continues. All right. And they've put them away now. So one of the things I've been doing on the pod is Scroot Watch. Where are they at this point? They're 6 feet long. There's only a few of them left. And now Hagrid thinks we can't even interact with them anymore. Let's just find out what they want to eat. So no more direct contact, but they're finding food for them. Hagrid tells them about his interview with Rita Skeeter. He's like, honestly, she didn't even really want to talk to me or talk about me. She wanted to talk about you, Harry. And she didn't like whenever I said you were a good kid. And, they make the point. She just wants to hear that I stink and that I'm misbehaving. She can't keep up this like good boy angle for much longer. And Hagrid says, there's no way that like adults actually think that way. And then Harry does a Snape impression of Snape saying like, oh, Harry's been pushing boundaries ever since he got to this school. And Hagrid's like, really? Did he say that? I mean, you might have broken a rule here or there, but you're still a pretty good kid. And I love Harry goes, cheers, Hagrid. Thank you for that. But Flitwick's class is awesome. He hypes up Harry for his incredible summoning charm. We go to Ben's class. It's still super boring, just in case you were wondering. McGonagall and Moody are teaching to the very last minute of the term. And y'all, Snape, he's not just teaching. He gives them a freaking test for the last day of term. That jerk. Later, in the common room, the squad is chilling, and Hermione tells Harry that he should try figuring out his egg. And he says, nope, I'm going to procrastinate. I get you, Harry. I understand. Fred and George come in. They ask for Pigwidgeon, but they won't tell Ron why. And I thought they were being a bit rude for people asking for a favor. It's like coming in hot with the insults. It's like, you want to use his thing. You should be a little nicer. So Fred then asks them if they've got dates to the ball. And what follows is one of the most iconic and funny moments, not just of this book, but I think of the whole series. So he says, do you have dates? And Fred, they go, what about you? They say no. And they say, what about you, Fred? He goes, I'm going with Angelina. They're like, whoa, have you asked her? He said, good point. And he just shouts across the Gryffindor common room, oi, Angelina, you want to go to the ball with me? And it's just so funny the way it's written. It says she gave him an appraising look. And she goes, yeah. And turns to the rest of them. There you have it. And then another really cool moment. It said when she turns back to her friend, she had a bit of a smile on her face. Oh, it's so cute. So cute.
Also just very carefree, not taking it too seriously. That's the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, it's that nice casual approach, making it not too big of a deal. All right. Sometimes it's fun to make it a big deal, but in a fun way, listeners.
Yeah.
All right. For more dating advice, hit me up at theretoldpodcast@gmail.com, listeners. Time marches on, though. Hogwarts looks like a dream. All right. Christmas at Hogwarts, always the best. We get the everlasting icicles, the golden owls, the holly berries, the suits of armor singing what song?
Oh, come all you faithful.
Yep.
That's right. And Peeves too, just filling in the gaps in the lyrics because it says the suits of armor sometimes forget the lyrics, which is odd. You would think if it's a spell, they would know it. But then how I reasoned it out would be whoever cast the spell, it's their limited knowledge of whatever the song is. So it like gives them just how much they know. And don't worry, Peeves fills in the rest. My next note is Impregnable Fortress. I love this. So Ron goes to Harry and he says, you know what? We just got to like buck up and do it. Like ask these girls to the dance. And it said something like, and he said this with the attitude of somebody like gearing up to like raid an impregnable fortress. Like that's like the chutzpah that he's carrying into this event, which, sometimes you got to get ready. All right. This is when you're a young boy. All right. And it's expected of you to ask the girl, it can be somewhat intimidating. You got to like hype yourself up with the boys. Like, yeah, man, she definitely want to go with you. It's good stuff, listeners. I related to this a little bit, So Harry decides it's freaking time. He needs to ask Cho. So after failing his potions exam, good start. He's like, all right, y'all, I'm off. And he goes looking for her. And this scene, like, I feel really bad for Harry, but it is really well written as far as like getting the feelings you get when getting rejected.
Yes.
And so especially like I love how much it slows down. Jim Dale does in the narration, if you listen to the audiobook version of it, because when you look at the page on the text, like it's just a bunch of one-word sentences typically, or one or two words. And you can kind of read through that pretty quickly, but he does a good job of like stopping time almost in these moments where he gets rejected. But yeah, so he approaches her and her friends and he asks for a private word. They're all giggling, and I love this. She doesn't. It says that all the friends are giggling, but she actually like takes him seriously, and it's a good Cho moment there.
Yeah.
And he fumbles his words a little bit. What is he? It's like, "We'll go ball me" or something like that. Can't quite get it out right the first time. And eventually he does ask her, and unfortunately, she already has a date, and it's Cedric Diggory. I wrote down Cedric freaking Diggory. So I have 3 notes on this little conversation. 1, I do love, and I love it in the movie too. She says sorry, and then she even follows it up again going, "I really am sorry." Like it's a sweet moment, and I appreciate like the tenderness Cho has in this moment. The other one is, my second note is his insides leaving and coming back, that like description during their conversation. So like they leave whenever he gets the no. And listeners, all right, not that I've ever been rejected. All right. It's never happened. But from what I've heard, it's like that feeling that you get of, it's just, you had all like, so you were so excited, you were so hopeful, and then just the balloon is popped, and it's just this feeling of emptiness. And then the dread that comes back whenever he finds out that it was, whenever it was serious or not serious, whenever it was Cedric that she's going with. And, my next note, Harry skips dinner and heads back up to the common room, all sad like. And the note of like, he is, how does it say in the book? Something like, he was actually getting to like Cedric before.
Yeah.
Cedric was actually kind of cool. He's growing on him. I was even going to forgive him for beating us in Quidditch. But now I think this guy is terrible. What's the...
Here,
Try
I
to pull it
actually
down.
had it as one of my funny lines.
Yeah, go for it.
Now he suddenly realized that Cedric was in fact a useless, pretty boy who didn't have enough brains to fill an egg cup.
Oh. It's even worse because like earlier in the chapter, it's made note that Harry's like, wow, things are really starting to improve around here. I think Cedric told the Hufflepuffs to go easier on me. Man, I love Cedric. And then Cedric sucks. And so unfortunate. But the wind is just completely taken out of his sails. However, if there's anything that can cheer you up after getting rejected, it's hearing that your bro has it worse. Because when Harry gets back to the common room, he walks in and Ron is looking awful. He's very worse for the wear. And
He's in shock.
He's just completely in shock. Her, what's her name? Ginny's like comforting him a little bit, but also fighting back a smile. And we find out that Ron attempted to ask Fleur. And that's when we find like Harry finally tells Ron, "You don't even need to worry about it, bro. Like, she's part Vila. You were right. I bet she was just turning on the charm," because Ron says she was talking to Cedric. She was just turning on the charm for Cedric. And I love it the way he says it. You just got a blast of it. That's all it was. And then even funnier was that, I'm going to find my note. Harry walked in the common room. Oh, and he mentions that like she won't get Cedric though, because he's going with Cho. And when Harry explains how he knows that, that makes Ginny kind of sad. But Ron tells Harry about Neville and his mood. The mood change is so funny to me. So, earlier I said, nothing cheers you up better than finding out your bro has it worse. The same is true for Ron, because he goes, "Man, that was awful. But did you hear what happened to Neville?" And they like just kind of like bond over other people getting rejected. Like, you know what? We have it bad, but at least I'm not this guy.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a funny moment. So Ron proceeds. Hermione walks in and Ginny trashes both of them pretty easily because they're like laughing about how awful Neville has it. And Hermione says, "Why were you guys at dinner?" And Ginny just goes, "Because they both just got rejected by the girls they wanted to go to the ball with." And Ron just goes, "Well," actually, it's a really quick note where it says that shut them up. So
I think this is one of my favorite parts with Ginny. She shows so much character here because she, she wasn't asked out by anybody except Neville.
Yeah.
Who was kind enough to see her and be like, hey, would you like to go? Otherwise, she wouldn't have been able to go. And she sticks by Neville. She doesn't like that Harry and Ron are teasing him.
Yeah, she says, don't laugh.
Yeah. And then what I love is how, Ron starts being like, okay, you go with Ginny and I'll go with Hermione. And Ginny's like, I can't go with Harry because I've been asked out by Neville, even though she still has this like lingering crush on Harry. So I just think that just really shows her character and just being a good friend. And also she doesn't want to be like asked out that way. She wants to be wanted. So
absolutely. Like that's a really good point in that, for one, it's just wham bam on Ginny in this passage where, she finds out that Harry asked Cho and that hurts her feelings. She they make fun of Neville and like, who would want to go with Neville? And that hurts her feelings. And then she had a chance in another timeline, to go with Harry to the ball. But, and I really like what you said, she's a person of character. She's like, no, I already said I'm going with Neville. I'm not going to ditch him just for this, even though she really wants to. So really good Ginny moment there. And also her just insulting them and getting them to shut up.
And they should have included it in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It is an unfortunate thing. It's what we're looking for in the HBO series. More stuff like this.
Yes.
But, so Hermione walks in and we also get the famous, Hermione, you're a girl. Well spotted. But she already has a date, but she's not going to tell them. It's a secret. So she heads on up to bed. Like you said, Ron tries to get his sister to go with Harry, but dadgummit, she's taken too. So just then, and I wrote my note is like, I feel bad for Ginny because she just kind of slumps off. She's like, I guess I'll go have dinner now. Boo. But just then, Parvati and Lavender come walking in and Harry tells Ron to hang tight. And like a boss, he walks straight up to Parvati and asks her to the dance. She has her little giggle fit. Says Harry waits for her to finish. And she agrees. And I think she even says something like, all right, then. Like, yeah, sure. Why not? Like trying to be casual. She's breezy. So she agrees. And I love Harry being like, please, you got to have somebody for Ron. You got somebody, Lavender's taken, so I can't do Lavender, but you got to have somebody. And she's like, maybe my twin. So bam, Ron finally has his date too. And that's the end of the chapter. Yay.
Right. Hopefully her nose is dead on center.
Oh my goodness. What an odd note to end the chapter on.
Well, because Ron made such a big deal about it.
Her nose is off center. Like, well, Ron,
her acne
beggars can't be choosers
now.
That's right. All right, listeners, moving on now to our favorite lines of chapter 22. So I've got a few. I'll rattle mine off, and if you have any, we'll have you rattle yours off too. But so one of them was Lavender Brown let out a shrill giggle. Parvati Patil nudged her hard in the ribs, her face working furiously as she too fought not to giggle. They both looked around at Harry. Professor McGonagall ignored them, which Harry thought was distinctly unfair as she had just told off him and Ron. So he's like, wait a minute. I remember feeling that so much as a kid. Like, I got in trouble. Why not them? So I thought that was fun. Another one. You know what? Let's bounce back and forth in case I steal any of yours because I don't want to shout.
Okay. I don't know. I always section off really long ones. I really thought it was funny how Harry was asked out by a bunch of girls. I meant to go back and count, but I think it was like 6 girls asked him out. And like one of them was really, he said, a curly-haired third-year Hufflepuff girl to whom Harry had never spoken in his life asked him to go to the ball with her the very next day. Harry was so taken aback. He said no before he even stopped to consider the matter. The girl walked off looking rather hurt, and Harry had to endure Dean and Seamus and Ron's taunts about it all through History of Magic. The following day, 2 more girls asked him, a second year and, to his horror, a 5th year, who looked as though she might knock him out if he refused. She was quite good looking, said Ron fairly after he'd stopped laughing. She was a foot taller than me, said Harry, still unnerved.
How would I look dancing with her?
Yeah.
Which is a concern. I get it, Harry. I
Yeah.
get it. But you just gotta. They got platform shoes out there. All right. You're a wizard. Are you a wizard or not, Harry? All
But
right.
then, like, isn't Cho a 5th year?
That was my thought as well. But I guess maybe Harry's taller than her.
She's
Maybe
she's shorter, so
Yeah.
she's not as intimidating.
Yeah. Iconic line. Why do they have to move in packs? Harry asked Ron as a dozen or so girls walked past them. How are you supposed to get one of them on their own to ask them? Lasso one? Ron suggested.
Oh my gosh. That should be on the door of the women's bathroom. Why do they have to move in packs?
Oh yeah, that they should have that up at the Wizarding World. That'd be pretty good.
That would be funny.
Yeah.
Did you have any more from this chapter?
I really loved how, like, I never noticed this before, but Ron's exploding snap card game,
Yeah.
like how it kind of evolved through the whole like through a couple pages. How it, like, he was playing with the cards, stacking them instead of how you're supposed to play exploding snap. And let's see.
Blew up in his
Yeah,
face.
he
The cards did a symbolism.
yeah, blew up in his face, singed off his eyebrows, and then Ron stopped feeling his eyebrows and looked across the smoldering deck of his cards at Harry. We should get a move on, ask someone. He's right. We don't want to end up with a pair of trolls. And then, like,
Ooh.
his whole back and forth with Hermione was just gold.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
it kind of just fed that tension into the chapter of how, like, she didn't want to tell them who she was going out with.
Yeah.
So
hmm
anyway,
Yeah, that's a really funny moment too.
yeah.
One, I think it's just before that. So they when they get there, they're made aware that they have a test with Snape at the end of the term. Evil he is, Ron said bitterly that night in the Gryffindor common room, springing a test on us the last day, ruining the last bit of term with a whole load of studying. And I love this moment from Hermione. You're not exactly straining yourself, though, are you? Said Hermione, looking at him over the top of her potions notes. Ron was busy building a card castle out of his exploding snap pack. So I just love that. Like, it doesn't seem to be bothering you that much that he did this. Very
Yeah.
good. You got the also famous line. Oh, I see, Hermione said, bristling. So basically, you're going to take the best looking girl who will have you, even if she's completely horrible. Yeah, that sounds about right, said Ron. So there's that one. And then, this was my absolute favorite one of the chapter. Giggling should be made illegal, Harry thought furiously, as all the girls around Cho started doing it. Oh, that's so funny. Like, I get that, Harry. All right. We relate to you. We know what it's like as teenagers at one time having to go through something like that.
Just get to the point.
What'd you say?
Just get to the point. Like, come on. I have a question.
Yeah. Don't do this. I'm trying to be for realsies. All right. And then the other iconic one was you're a girl. Well spotted. So those are all my favorite lines. We're moving on now to our Transfiguration section. And so these are differences that the movies made from the books again. First one, at the beginning of this chapter, whenever Harry finishes up his Transfiguration class, McGonagall tells Harry that he has to dance in front of the whole school. But in the movie, that takes place like right before the dance actually occurs. And it's, played off for laughs where she's like, oh, didn't I tell you? Oh, well, now you know. He has to go in there and do the dance. But at least he gets some more forewarning in the book. The other one is that when Fred asks Angelina in the movie, he does it like in the Great Hall during what seems like a study hall with Professor Snape. He balls up a piece of paper, throws it at her, kind of mouths it, and mimes it to her, want to go to the ball with me? And she goes, yeah. So that happens there rather than in the common room. Also, when Harry asks Cho in the book, it takes place outside of the Defense Against the Dark Arts classroom. In the movie, it takes place at the Owlry, where he just like kind of happens to run into her rather than seeking her out.
Wasn't nice. They weren't surrounded by giggling girls.
That's true. I do love that scene in the movie so much. And she's just like, mind the stairs. It's a bit icy at the top. Another change is that in the movie, when we find out that Ron asked Fleur to the ball, it's Hermione who approaches him and gets that information out of him. And she's like, what did she say? She said yes, and like covers up her mouth and all that stuff. But in the book, it's Harry who has that conversation with him. And then last one, and then I have a maybe change. We'll get to it. One is that Padma is in Gryffindor. So like the whole thing of like Parvati saying, oh, I have my twin sister in Ravenclaw that he can go with. But she's actually in Gryffindor. And in that scene, both of the twins walk by at the same time. They say, hiya, Harry, and keep going. And he's like, wait a minute, come back. And he goes, ask them both. But the other interesting thing is that, and so I wrote this one as a potential change. I haven't seen the movie in a little bit, so I'm not sure. But when I was looking on the wiki, it said that the movie, the Yule Ball, takes place on Christmas Eve. But in the book, it takes place on Christmas Day. And I'm not sure if that's right or not. So listeners, you let me know. All right. And somebody will clarify for us. But anyway, that's all the transfigurations I have. Moving on now to our golden snitches. Again, behind the scenes, lore, tids and bits, all that good stuff. So one of them, first one I have, is the Weird Sisters. So the Weird Sisters are mentioned in this chapter. The Weird Sisters were a very popular band in the wizarding world whose music was frequently played on the Wizarding Wireless Network. Despite their name, all 8 known members were male. Many individuals in the wizarding world were fans of the Weird Sisters, including Ginny Weasley and Nymphadora Tonks. One of them has a poster of them on their wall. They actually met at Hogwarts in the 1986 school year and formed their group then. And I think they, let's see what else. A lot of this is like Hogwarts mystery lore, but still kind of cool. I'm actually going to do like more, I think I was talking with Jesse and I, who's a regular guest on the show, for like bonus episodes, because we are going to finally start a Patreon soon. And that's what those bonus episodes will be, is like retelling Hogwarts mystery. So stay tuned for that, listeners. But some fun facts just about them. So like I said, there's 8 members, and we know 4 of their songs: Do the Hippogriff, Magic Works, This Is the Night, and Bloodsucker. One of those doesn't sound like the other 3. But the fun thing about them is that the actual, like, the actors in the movie who play these characters many of them were in bands. And so one of the members, he was from the band Pulp, British rock band named Pulp. Then Johnny Greenwood of Radiohead is also one of the people, and so is Phil Selway. And so then another person from Pulp, Steve Mackey. And then there's a band called All Seeing Eye. I don't know this band, but one of their guitarist, Jason Buckle. So they actually had like famous people come in and play the actors for these roles.
Fun. I've looked that up before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So then there's a whole lot of stuff about them, listeners, if you want to go to the wiki for them. Bunch of fun stuff and fun lore to do with them. So anyway, the next one, the Wizarding Wireless Network, because that's also mentioned in this chapter, was a popular generalist wizarding wireless station. It featured music programs such as The Witching Hour, hosted by Glinda Chittock, interactive programs like Toots, Shoots, and Roots, hosted by Tilden Toots. That's fun to say. And new bulletins like the Wizarding Wireless Network News. Most wizard-born children grew up listening to the station, and the radio station was based in Hogsmeade Village, which I did not know. All right. So I don't remember that being in like Hogwarts Legacy. So maybe it wasn't around back then. I don't know. But Celestina Warbeck, popular person on the show, featured often during the Witching Hour. So were the Weird Sisters. And then And that's about it for Wizarding Wireless Network. Moving on, we have just a few more. The Ballycastle Bats are mentioned because Harry's reading his Flying with the Cannons book. And the Ballycastle Bats were a Quidditch team located in Northern Ireland. They were the second most successful team in the British and Irish Quidditch League, having won the title 27 times, nearing the end of the 20th century. And their mascot, we actually talked about this last time we were on the show with Butterbeer, but their mascot was Barney the Fruit Bat, who is also featured in Butterbeer advertisements. Because Barney was Barney or like Barmy or whatever for Butterbeer, something like that. And it's so like it's really funny, listeners, to me reading the wiki for some of these, because sometimes they have these big sections marked off that you could get a whole lot of information on, or sometimes it's tiny little snippets. And so under the section labeled history on their page, it's just one sentence and it says Finbar Quigley played for this team. I don't know who that is, but there you go. And their mascot was a scarlet bat. And so that's all we got for them. Moving on now to our very last one for the chapter, the Yule Ball. And so, again, that's introduced here because it's the unexpected task. What's interesting, listeners, is if you go into the wiki, there's actually not that much, but the Harry Potter website does have more about it. So the Yule Ball occurs in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, and it is a rather eventful event. The fabulous and festive night of dancing is a Triwizard Tournament tradition. It is held on Christmas Day by whoever is hosting the Triwizard Tournament. So it wouldn't just be at Hogwarts. The other schools, if it was there, would have been done there as well. It takes place at 8 p.m. on the 25th, ends at midnight. The dress code for the Yule Ball is smart, meaning the Hogwarts students had to turn up in dress robes or some more traditional ones in the case of poor Ron. Silly Ron. Only Hogwarts students in 4th year or above can attend, but younger students can also be brought as guests. And the Triwizard champions start the dancing, albeit sometimes reluctantly. Oh, that's funny. They're making jokes. Musical entertainment. And there's more spoiler stuff in the article, so I won't say it, listeners. But there you go. That's all our golden snitches for the chapter. And so now, that's the main coverage of this episode. If you do not want spoilers, listeners, we're about to kick you out, tell you to go. But before you do, I want to remind you, one, I want to say thank you for listening this week, but also we want to have a huge thanks to Evie and Peter for being on this week's episode. Make sure you check out their page, Wizarding House Common Rooms on Instagram. Really good stuff. And but yeah, so if you don't want spoilers, get on out of here. All right, so here we are now in the restricted section. I will rattle off just a few of mine and we can talk about them. And then if you have anything else you want to add, we can cover those too. So the first one, I wrote down with all the interactions that Harry gets to have with the Scroots, I feel like he gets an unfair advantage because, they get featured in the third task. And I was like, that's kind of unfair that he got, and Cedric too, that they both get to work with the Scroots so much.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody else does, so they kind of learn more about them. Now, to be fair, Harry was at a disadvantage already.
To do anything with.
What'd you say?
I think that they just learned that they're really hard to do anything with. Their armor is like unpenetrable.
Yeah.
And just like you just got to get away from them.
Best to just avoid them. So,
Yeah.
But they get, and I think even during the task, Cedric appears. I'm not positive, but I think he appears and he has like a burn mark on his sleeve and he was like, Scroot. And he moves along. The other one, we get mention of Crumb in the library. All right, he's hanging out in there. And then wonder what he's hanging out in there. He's hanging out in there, listeners, because he's been looking for Hermione. Okay, wanted to ask her to the dance. So that's why that's mentioned there. JK often gives us red herrings. And one of the prominent ones in this book is Ludo Bagman. And we get another hint that he could be the bad guy in this book from one of the chapters this week where Winky says he is a bad wizard. He's a really bad wizard. And so I just thought that was an interesting call out there. But we know I think even Hermione says it, that the reason Winky said that was really just because Barty hates the way Ludo runs his side of the ministry.
You're parroting. Yeah.
Mhm. And then, so when you mentioned this earlier, I had to like fight it back because I wanted to mention it. But Percy, when Ron says the thing about Percy wouldn't recognize a joke if it danced like in Dobby's tea cozy in front of him or something like that. Um, that's like the culmination of Percy's character arc is he says a joke right before Fred dies. And then like, cause even Fred goes, "Oh my goodness, Percy, did you just say a joke?" And he laughs. And then that's when that happens. And I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh my good." That kind of just stood out to me on this read through. The Bezoar test. So that's another one. I think you even said you had something you wanted to mention there. But like with the Bezoars,
Oh yeah.
in book 6, that's when we get the incident with the poisoning. But I just thought,
Yeah, it
I
finally
bet
sank
Harry.
in. And it probably sank in because he failed that test.
Oh
So
my goodness.
Yeah.
This failed grade equals Ron's saved life.
yes.
So
Well, and like he Snape did mention it in their first ever potions class.
Yep.
And that like Harry says that, he remembered it. But also I never got this chapter. I never really realized, that was a Bezoar. Again, Snape is trying to help even the kids who can't do complex potions. This is the easiest thing to do when
But
when
there's
somebody has been poisoned.
right. And then there's a third instance, remember, where he's in with Slughorn, and everybody puts together this really complicated like anti
Well, yeah.
potion. Oh yeah, and he just puts the Bezoar in the bottom of the cauldron, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think like isn't it? He doesn't have the Half-Blood Prince's book at that point,
Yeah,
and he just remembers that lesson.
Yeah.
He does have the Half-Blood Prince's book.
Oh yeah, because it says
I was
just use a
wrong.
Bezoar. Just use a Bezoar. That's
Yeah,
what
it said
says.
just use a Bezoar. Okay, well then I was wrong that it sunk in through this test.
No, but
Well, that's probably cumulative. Probably several things. Because during that moment with Ron, he doesn't have the book.
Oh right.
The other interesting thing though, like about that test, is that he probably didn't even have to write any of the other things. Because it says he wrote down some of the ingredients. He just forgot the Bezoar, and it's like those other ones probably didn't even matter at all. You forgot the one actual important thing.
Yeah, I totally get what you're saying. So, okay, one more thing though. I think this is so important where, like, when you are trying to learn something from a teacher who is so, like,
Awful.
yeah, so awful, like, just
so critical.
going after Harry.
Yeah.
It's like you can't learn things. We were just talking about this with my brother-in-law, where he was just like, as soon as the teacher started yelling, I couldn't understand anymore.
Yeah, it's a trauma response.
Yeah. And
that's a shame.
I know, it's really sad. But under Slughorn, he started to improve, and that was encouraging enough that he started to take in, potion making and started enjoying it. And what's funny is that the prince's book was able to teach him a lot, but it didn't have the aggression from Snape. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a great point, that it's like it's the same person, but they're just doing different methods, and so it's like Snape knows his stuff, and he could be a good teacher. He just chooses not to be.
Right.
And I too, like, as far as you mentioned like trauma response with the teacher, Neville is incredible at herbology, and I feel like herbology is like the sister of potions class, in that there's so much crossover and relations there, and it's like he does amazing with that teacher. I feel like he could also do that in potions as well, given a different sort of teacher. My last little restricted section one I had was I just wrote "Poor Girls of Hogwarts," because I can't think of like any Hogwarts girl that has a good time at this Yule Ball. Like when all is said and done, I know that Fleur ends up having a pretty good time with her date, and like some of the other people have a good time, but just about every single girl, maybe Ginny enjoys dancing with Neville, and they have fun, but just about everybody else seems to have something awful happen at that dance. So that's a sad spoiler, but
Yeah.
Anyway, that's all I got. Did you guys have anything else?
I was trying to find something here with the middle of the book page thing. There
was something here.
I know. Well, so the like really crazy people who study
J.K. Rowling.
J.K. Rowling's writing and everything. They always say look in the middle. So there's the middle of the book, and then there's the chapter, the middle chapter of the book. So the middle of the book here, chapter 365 and 366. It just kind of caught my attention when you said when you called out the Cruciatus curse with Neville, and the egg screaming. That is in one of the tasks. What's his name? Oh my gosh.
Crumb.
Thank you. Crumb uses the Cruciatus curse, and becomes one of the things to get through the maze. So I don't know.
Yeah.
That was all I got.
And even no, that's great because it made me look back too. In my copy, the middle of the book is when they're in the kitchens and they're talking to Winky about Bagman and Crouch. And so it's her saying, I will not expose my master's secrets. I will not expose his secrets. And it's the secret being that Barty Crouch Jr. is alive and out there. And so I guess it kind of.
No, that one, I think you got it. You found it.
Yay! We did it, listeners.
I need
Fantastic.
that copy.
Well, I think that about wraps up our episode for this week. So, listeners, thank you so much for listening. We've enjoyed getting to podcast for you. Hope you come back for next week as we discuss chapters 20. What did we just do? 21. So 23 and 24. One of them is the Yule Ball, famous chapter. We're going to have Laura from the MuggleCast podcast come on for that episode. So excited for that. And Evie, Peter, thank you so much for your time. It was an honor to get to have you back. And so, thank you.
Thank
Absolutely.
you.
It was fun.
Really fun.
Yeah.
A joy.
Well, everybody, have a wonderful week, and we'll see you later. Goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Retold. Artwork for this podcast was created by Rachel Ortlip. Music was created by Taylor Jarvis. And the Retold podcast is produced by me. That's right. I made this.